All right, so now I'm kind of jumping back in here for a second, and before we go into ZBrush, and I'm thinking about things like um, just how I can further refine this, add some, so I can really utilize ZBrush, because we made our base mesh in Maya, which looks like this, if you remember, really low res, really um, just kind of whatever, and now we're just, again, we're kind of further refining it and pushing it. Um, it's okay to kind of work in that way where you're just sort of like you're iterating through design, going between modeling and drawing, and I kind of jump around whenever I'm building my own games. So I kind of laid out a couple colors here for my glass, and then my what I would like the tubes to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off by painting in just some very basic values, um, just some flat colors. So essentially, here's our line work that we were kind of working with. So below this, I'm going to grab the values and drop it below my line work. So on this layer here, what I can start to do is just think about like, and I left those colors in there because I want to show you sort of the entire iterative process. I can go to my grays here, and I can say, okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint in, let's go darker. For example, the tubes underneath, right? Something like this, you know. And then once I'm happy with that, what I'll normally do is throw a layer on top, just call it color. And then I switch the type to color here, and I'll sample this blue, and I'll just paint that blue right on top. And you can see that it sort of blends in those grays, like that. Now, what I normally do is I sort of, to add a darker tone, is I'll offset the color a little bit, and then I'll play with the value. So say underneath here, I've got that dark spot. I can just go in, sort of paint that in like this, right? But we want to go much darker than that, and maybe a little more bluer. So, so on that color layer. Now what you can also do is, if you feel more comfortable, you can grab your grays from here, and you'll notice it'll also give you really beautiful results. It'll help you stay within that same color family. Notice that we didn't adjust this color, right? All we did is play with the values underneath, like this. Now, same thing, if I want to add a highlight along this tube here, now a lot of times you'll see them paint out all of the values. That's not the way my mind works. Let's go ahead and grab this color, drop it in here. I sort of jump around. Just kind of fill this whole area in here. Now you're going to get a much darker result. Now I can jump down to my values here, right? Sample this same flat gray that I'm going to sort of continue throughout it, and you'll notice, you know. Now, mind you, I'm not painting, right, with color. I'm actually painting with, I mean, gray is a color, but I'm painting with my values right now, right? And the power behind this is like, you kind of get instant gratification as you're painting through with less of the stress, and you're staying in the exact same color family, right? So for example, here I can keep going with this. Notice I'm still on the value layer. I'm just painting here. Jump up to color. Now I'm painting this. And I want to add like a really nice highlight across the corner because my lighting you can see is sort of coming off on this side. So in my values, I'm just going to go to the left, pull it up a little bit. Let's paint this glass for a second. Now mind you, there's liquid right behind this glass. So what I'm going to do is, my liquid is sort of a darkish liquid. So, oops, I painted in the wrong area. Let's go up to colors and paint that. There we go. Let's zoom out a little bit and see how that looks. It's kind of looking cool. Go to my values layer, go a little darker. This will be a bit sharper. See, I screwed that up. Gotta make sure that I'm on the right layer. So let's clean all that up. Now mind you, see how let's remove our color, grab this guy. Drop our color on top, right? And again, I'm still painting with gray. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too confusing. And going a little messy is okay for now. Now to get in a nice little shadow, right? Because we want to show some reflection coming off of our we're gonna have a little bit of a kind of like a highlight coming off this edge, right? So in our values, I'll go a little bit darker. And just throw that off to the side here. And then I'm going to help that along over here. And then go up to my highlight here. And that might be a little too potent, depending, because see how the highlighted here is not as strong? Let's go a little less. Just follow that edge. I'm going to do the same thing up here. Right? Let's sample this value here. And then for the top part of the glass, go a little bit darker so that that highlight really shows through. That might be too potent. All right, I'm going to pause it and just do the same thing on this arm. All right, so I kind of wanted to go sort of with a green for the sort of the O area. It used to be oxygen, now he's just going to be a gas guy. So what I'm going to do is, oops, we want to do that on the color layer. Yeah, so something like this. I'm just finding the middle line color so that when I go in with my values here, I can kind of grab those edges and just sort of, and again, I'm painting with the grays underneath right now. All right, let me go to my line work. and just start looking at ways I can kind of refine this, right? So I think we're at 10 minutes. What I might do inside of ZBrush is give him a little bit of wear, right? Like on the sides here, I'll accentuate that a little bit, and I'll continually refine this. And I'll go back and revisit this drawing. But you can see right off the bat, inside of a few minutes, like less than 10 minutes, we've got our nice flat colors going, starting to understand where the highlights might be coming in on this model. You know, we can look at values like this, right? And say, okay, well, I think that's a good value. And what you'll see me do later is I'll start to steal some of this and taking it right directly into the same texture inside a Substance Painter. All right, so that gives me enough of a color breakdown or an idea of where I'd like to go with this piece.